During the E3 Xbox Game Showcase event, DICE has revealed about 3 minutes of actual multiplayer gameplay for Battlefield 2042. We're going to dive in right away to see what we can learn. We're going to first talk about infantry, then vehicles, and then maps. By the way, if you have watched my video from yesterday, there may be some slight overlap, so please bear with me. Also, please keep in mind that these are pre-alpha footage, and the mechanics of how things are shown here may differ from the actual game upon release. First, squad size looks to remain as a 4-person squad just like in Battlefield 3 and in Battlefield 5, but that may be subject to change. Then we have our first look at some of the first-person and third-person views of some of our specialists. Here, we have the first look at Webster McKay, who is the assault equivalent specialist who has a grappling hook. Here we have the first look at how the grappling hook works. It appears that you can basically Spider-Man eat yourself across terrain, and this sort of resembles the Pathfinder class in Apex Legends. Of course, there is a cooldown, which you can see here. Next, we can see Sundance, which is probably one of the most talked about specialists who has a wingsuit equipped. We can see some of the footage here as he jumps off the building and deploys his wingsuit. The gliding is done in third-person mode and probably replaces the parachutes. It does not appear to be a specific gadget that takes up a slot for this specialist. He also appears to have a C4 shown in this scene, which may or may not be specifically tied to him. Of course, we're going to see Jeep stuff in this gameplay trailer as his teammate drives the ATV into the Little Bird. And pay attention here as he detonates, the C4 immediately replenishes. This may be explained by the fact that they are in a capture session in a death build, or this simply means attrition is no longer present, allowing gadgets to replenish. If the latter, I assume there are definitely a cooldown for that. Next up, we have Delta here, who we have not seen him before, and is likely a support type player. He has access to what looks like to be a riot shield, and you can definitely see it here from the perspective of another player. Then a quick sneak peek at Maria Falk, who is the medic. We have a very short snippet of the Syrette pistol or the stim pistol shown here in the game. Unfortunately, it does not show how it works, but we can see that there are 6 shots. I assume we will find out more at a later date in terms of its actual mechanics. Casper also made an appearance, but we don't really see much of how his gadgets work. And now let's talk about some of the weapons we see here in the game. This is definitely not an exhaustive list, and if you're interested in those, a few other fellow YouTubers have done some pretty amazing videos covering those. So for the one who want the compass and may have noticed that it is gone, here it shows you in ADS. It shows the compass at the bottom of the screen. You can also quickly appreciate how the ziplines work. And if you played Hardline, you should feel right at home. We also have a first preview of the plus system, which is literally a plus sign that allows you to swap attachments on the fly. This will probably work like a common rose. There are no animations when swapping out these attachments, but I am not entirely sure if there is a cooldown for that. From here, we can see that you can switch out optics, barrel options like silencers, change mag size, and grips. The HUD will also correctly show the current attachment loadout as you hot swap these. We also have a first look at a few of these weapons in first person view. Here we can see the M5A3, which is your M4 equivalent. And if you are an AK guy, here is your AK-24 assault rifle. We can also see the Chris Vector K30 in action here, and the PBX9, which is the LWRC SMG45, perhaps a 9mm caliber. Now a first look at the DMR, which is the 4V9, an LMG shown here as the LCMG, and for bolt action fans, here is a TG24, which is the TRG M10 bolt action rifle. We only see a version with the iron sights. Unfortunately, we don't have a scope variant shown in this trailer. As for sidearms, we have the Glock pistol, which can be heavily customized. And finally, although we don't see the actual model, we do know that we have a revolver with a giant scope, which reminds me of the Magnum 44 in Battlefield 4. And lastly, we can see that there is some sort of machine pistol you can equip as a sidearm shown here. It also appears that any character may be able to hold some sort of anti-vehicle weapon like a grenade launcher or anti-personnel weapon like claymores from what I can see on the HUD, but I'm not 100% certain on this. Before we jump into vehicles, here is a quick look at how a melee takedown would look from the teammate's perspective. Now, let's talk about vehicles. Unfortunately, we don't see whether vehicles enter or exit animations will be present, but we do have a first look at how the call-in system will work, at least for a tank. The tank will parachute down to where you want it to. Whether you can destroy a falling vehicle or whether you can steal someone else's call-in is currently unclear. Now onto the vehicle ammo. It looks like there will be unlimited ammo, but we'll probably have some sort of reloading timer after you finish that so-called magazine. We can also see that apart from the 2 weapons each of the main vehicles have, you also have a countermeasure option as well as what appears to be quick repair. So I think in-vehicle repair will once again make a return to this franchise. And now we have some more gameplay footage of various vehicles, as well as some newer vehicles that I do not believe were shown in a trailer before. Here we have a first look at the M1A5 Abrams tank. It appears that there is some sort of reactive armor, but I'm not sure whether they are just for cosmetics or they are actually functional like the ones in Battlefield 3. I really hope it is something functional that can add to the skill ceiling. Otherwise, it looks like we only have one main tank shell and a coaxial option. Perhaps you can customize it like in Battlefield 4 to have different types of rounds. At the minimum, it does not appear to allow you to have both HE and AP shells along with a coaxial machine gun like the tanks in Battlefield 5. And before we move on, can we just appreciate how the tank tracks conform to the terrain? I rate it 10 out of 10. Next up, we have the AH-64GX attack helicopter. Here we can see that it has both air-to-air radar guided missiles and rocket pods. You can also see from the HUD that there are 4 icons, which may suggest that vehicle part disables will be returning from Battlefield 5, like the tank tracks, turrets, and engine disables, but currently this is not confirmed. Then we have a third-person view of the MV-38 Condor, which is going to be your futuristic Osprey as transport, and appears to be decently quick at that, which would be nice given the size of these maps. We also have a look at the Jeeps, which is the LATV-4 that has a minigun attached to it, and we can see it literally mow down into the Jeep. We also have a closer look at the F-35 fighter. It has external weapon racks, and perhaps you can swap out different weapons that are for air superiority versus ground attack roles. Here, you can also see that the F-35 is in hover mode, just like what you can do in previous battlefields. And next up, these may be new vehicles that were not previously shown. Here, I'm not sure if I'm correct since this is quite blurry, but this may actually be an F-22 Raptor. And if that's the case, then this will most likely be the air superiority jets, where the F-35 is more for ground attack roles. We also see a variant of the Mi-24 Hind attack helicopter in addition to the alligator that we saw before. I am not entirely sure how many seats there are, but it looks like if there could be as many as 3 seats, given that here it almost appears that the 2 machine guns are controlled separately, but this is just speculations on my part. Okay, now moving on to maps. Clearly, we see that Doha has quite a significant change in its weather pattern. First, you can see it in daylight. Then, you see the storm rolling in that creates that almost nighttime feel with all the lights of the building glowing. Then, you also get the tornado that was shown in the Korea map in the trailer here in Doha. And here you can see how being in or near the tornado will cause your HUD to glitch out. It will most likely also cause air vehicles to lose most of its maneuverability. Then we also have more views on the rocket launch, which may or may not go successfully. And last but not least, we have some more footage of how the Conquest Zones will work. You have major sectors like A through E, but within these sectors, you also have smaller capture zones that you have to get to claim the sector. Here you can see Zone E1, which is at the top of one building, then E2 and so on could be at the top of another building, and zip lines will probably play a big role when traversing between these. And that's it for now. If I missed anything, please feel free to let me know down in the comment section. All in all, this is a very action-packed trailer with lots going on. We will have to see how it plays when we get our hands on it. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, dislike if you don't. Cheers everybody!